So for the plumbing business package, this package, if you're a plumber, to me, looking to branch out on your own, this is an absolute no-brainer. Not only do you get all the infrastructure that you probably don't have time, maybe not the expertise, but definitely you don't have the time to, because you're needing to go run your business. You're getting the website, you're getting the payment gateways, you're getting, platforms that you can easily invoice your customer for jobs. We've got referrals to great bid softwares if you don't like doing your own bids or if you're nervous about doing your own bids. So, this is meant to be an absolute turnkey operation for a plumber to go through, just somebody that knows how to plumb and wants to work for themselves. How to set up the bare bones skeleton infrastructure of your company, and then how to fill all that in with the startup series on, how to go about advertising, growing your company, scaling, hiring people when you get to that point, and just building a business for yourself.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've worked with a lot of plumbing professionals over the years, and I know some of the major challenges they've had are, getting their brand, their name out there, and, kind of connecting with the customer base that isn't even just near them geographically. Sometimes people just aren't aware that they're out there offering these services.
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing is having, that website, having that base where people can find you, find your information, and connect with you. I think that's something that a lot of plumbers are actually missing right now. And maybe they're driving 45 minutes, an hour and a half out to an appointment when there were so many different appointment opportunities and job opportunities so much closer, but just no one was aware of them.
Yeah, well, and we've got, one of the neat things that we include as an optional feature is a dispatch software that will go through and route your day to be the most efficient route possible, based on location to each other, kind of minimizing because you could really waste a lot of time commuting back and forth to, different homes, even in the same area. So making that route optimized is huge, but just kind of the know-how that this brings. Like you were saying, I've done business with a lot of plumbers, and it seems like if you can get through and you can build your service and you can make everybody in your area aware, plumbing companies, they just stay in business. They just don't go out of business because there's there's plumbing everywhere. And so any given moment, somebody in your community needs a plumber all the time. Oh, yeah. And so really the demand for this is unlimited.
Oh, definitely. And I think this gives that plumbing company or that plumbing startup the opportunity to build that brand, which builds community familiarity and in turn higher traffic. And that's what gets you the calls that you really want. The major replumbs, the system replacements that are where I think the major opportunity for high profits are. So, it can definitely take someone who maybe is just slowly moving through word of mouth, maybe doesn't have a full book of business, is like, we were saying, spending a lot of time just commuting job to job. And this could allow them to fill things up, make sure that they're hitting maximum profitability every time they leave, and, have that brand that people remember and then they can find you by.
Yeah. And the nice thing about the startup series is for this package in particular, is one of the sections of the startup series is targeted advertising, how to stretch your dollar and make it last. Because, advertising is one of those things where, obviously if you're a small plumbing company trying to start up, it doesn't make any sense to buy a $20,000 a month billboard on the freeway. It's just, that would be crazy. And in the same way, the online advertising that plumbers are gonna need to succeed, if you're going and you're competing with other companies for keywords like plumbing or plumbers near me, and you're competing for those words, if you're a plumber, those are the most expensive words you could possibly buy online. And you're competing with those guys that have that $20,000 billboard along the freeway. And it's just, you're not going to get enough. I shouldn't say you're not, because anything's possible, but it's likely that you won't get enough business to support your advertising platform off of that. So after you're scaled, after you're big, after you've got a bunch of people working for you, that's one thing to start doing these really, really expensive advertising programs at that point in time. But when you're starting off and you're trying to catch stuff and trying to fill your calendar, if you're paying 10, 15, 20 bucks a click for words online, you can really eliminate your budget. So what the startup series does is it aims to go, okay, why don't we let everybody else fight over those $20 words? What kind of words are my customers looking up for $1? So that way I'm getting 20 times the leads for every dollar I'm spending compared to these big, huge competitors. Just being more smart and more strategic about the bidding. That's the advantage of the Ready to Launch Business, the startup series, is walks you through how to do that.
Oh, that's huge. That's definitely huge. And I think the other thing is these organizational tools, the client management system. It's something a lot of plumbers are operating without right now.
Yeah,
and
with sticky
they
pads
kind
in
of
their
have
truck. And that's a real disadvantage.
It is. It's huge. I mean, you have sort of disparate record keeping. It's hard to know exactly what everybody needs, where they're at, what you've done in the past for them. So being able to have those organizational tools to ensure familiarity and efficiency, I think will provide additional advantages.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've had, plumbing company owners that I know that have been sued for stuff they didn't even do. So having the client management system that we'll set you up with as part of your Ready to Launch Business package, having that client management system to go in and say, went to 123 Main Street today, unclogged kitchen sink, hooked up the ice disposal, da. And so that way, when something happens where it's like, we have a leak in our attic, it's like, man, I didn't even go in your attic. I don't know. So I've got all my records here. You can do whatever you're going to do, but I've got an itemized record list of everything we did for you. And we weren't there, unfortunately. Or sometimes it's not even the homeowner that's unreasonable. Sometimes there's a leak and they file a claim on their homeowner's insurance, and the homeowner's insurance, the adjuster is on the other side of the country from where you are. And they go, well, who was the last plumber that was in your house? Well, it was Justin Buck's Plumbing Company. Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and farm this claim out to them, and then they can just fight it. So, it really safeguards your company to make sure that you're growing in a sustainable long-term manner and that you're protecting your liability interests in the process.
Oh, yeah. And I think there's an opportunity to generate some return business in that tracking, too, because systems only last so long. If you put in a, say, water filtration system that has to be reassembled every 4 or 5 years, maybe it's a SAB bed system, that because you're tracking it. So maybe you set yourself a reminder 4 years later to check back with that homeowner. It shows great customer service, follow through, and the opportunity for future business.
Now, you've worked under our business methodology. Tell me how our way of doing things has impacted your life.
Well, it's improved my life in many different ways. I've learned to, operate in business more efficiently, more strategically, with a greater focus on win-win outcomes, where the business is profiting, but the, clients and customers are happy. So it's been a very enriching process, and I've learned a lot from you guys. You guys have that entrepreneurial spirit that just makes for good business. And so it's been just an absolute pleasure working with you guys.
And now, what about financially? How would you say your situation is different?
Well, it's been enormously personally rewarding, financially rewarding. We've been able to do things we never imagined being able to do just a few years before. Your unique approach to business has enabled us to, be more profitable than our competitors. We've had a better work-life balance, I think, than most people who, even get close to approaching our income threshold. So I think really, as rewarding as something could be, it has been for us.
Now, do you feel like our way of doing things has profitability advantages over traditional ways of doing business?
Oh, most certainly. Yeah. I think you can, tell just by our history of growth. We, I think, are willing to adapt our business strategies, fill any niche role that's out there, and just, capitalize on things that other businesses aren't even aware of. So, yeah, I think we, have had a much greater level of success than our competitors with more profitability and oftentimes less busy work.
Yeah, certainly. And I think too, with the startup series goes over all sorts of that kind of stuff. And just the ways that we've been luckily forced to adapt and learn how to do things with less staff and, more technology based or more efficiency based, just really picking things apart down to the typing of emails or not. Stuff like that makes a huge difference, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. Breaking things down to their kind of constituent components seeing what you absolutely have to have, what's not necessary, and then putting your energy behind what drives, maximum productivity and profitability. And I think that's been where we've had a lot of our success.
Now, Justin, what would you say to someone who is thinking about buying one of these business packages, but is maybe nervous about starting a business from scratch instead of going with a more expensive traditional franchise, or maybe nervous about something else with starting a business?
Well, I would say that, now is a very good time, I think, for someone to look at starting their own business. And I think, when you're weighing these options, say in comparison to a more expensive franchise, I think the flexibility that's afforded because you still own and have control of your own business, I think
Absolutely.
that's huge. I think that's why a lot of people start a business. They don't
Yep.
want to have to report to someone and curtail their goal and operations based on the direction of somebody else. So I think you get all of those benefits. But I think the other thing that's, a major advantage is that it is lower cost. You're not paying a percentage of your income for an indefinite period. You just have the ability to take a proven model, to adapt it to your specific situation, to be given all the tools to implement your strategy and your goals and to achieve it. And I think that's huge.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I mean, as an entrepreneur myself, obviously, that started several businesses, when I look back over what worked really well and what did not work really well, it's the unknowns that are waiting out there to just, grab you by the foot and trip you up. And that's really what I think makes businesses fail. I think that there's probably two major things that make businesses fail. Number one is not knowing a system and process that's proven for success, which it takes a while to get there. And then number two is just these pitfalls that every single entrepreneur will face at some point in time or another. And having the startup series as a guide to continually reference back to me, makes all the difference in the world compared to somebody that does not have that resource. And business consultants are really, really, really expensive. It's a good way to, especially when you're in the startup phases, that's a good way to really drain profitability, is having to call somebody and pay them by the hour every time you have a question, rather than just referencing a resource that you've got on your computer.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, you're getting basically a veteran business model that works.
Yeah.
And you're able to use that from the get-go. So, I mean, it's like, taking the Microsoft model when you're starting a software company. It's as good a start as you could have.
Well, Justin, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you joining me here and going over these business packages. And, for you guys there thinking about this, you can submit on our website or you can give us a call at 844-500-6620 and speak with a business launching consultant. Again, that's 844-500-6620. Thanks so much.